Today, the Fox body is technically still at the fab shop, but we are gonna do an unboxing because I have this really bad habit of just getting parts and not unboxing them until I'm ready to put them in and then realize that I didn't get all the parts. So thought I'd do it a little bit ahead of time. And I thought I'd show you guys. If you can't tell already, am going IRS with the Fox body. A couple reasons, but we'll get into that later. This is the cradle for it, but we are not gonna start with this. We're gonna get to this a little bit later, so you gotta keep watching. As you guys know, I have a 1989 Fox body. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know a whole lot about it before when I got it. When I looked at it, I didn't really notice the mini tub that they had done in the rear because I had no idea what I was looking at in a Fox body. Essentially what they did to the rear was they moved the axles inboard and then changed the structure inside the car, and they also ended up mini tubbing it, which is adding like an extra piece. So it allows for a bigger tire, which is great. However, the geometry and how they set up like the spring perches and the springs and all of that, just not gonna work for road racing. As I started to do more and more research to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to reverse this? There weren't a whole lot of options. Pretty much everyone told me to get rid of the car, but being as persistent and really just stupid, I didn't want to do that. So I started looking into IRSs because the IRS is traditionally what you would do when you go road racing because you want as much adjustability in the rear. When you have a solid rear axle, you have no adjustability for camber, toe, anything. It's just, it is what it is and it's that way. Now for drag racing, that's great. Road racing or even drifting, you know, well actually drifting, some people use solid rear axles and they work fine, but for road racing, you want as much adjustability as you can get so that you can just maximize the traction. As I started to look into the IRS, traditionally everyone does the IRS from the 93 COBRA. I looked a little bit further and Ridetech popped up. Now I remember seeing at SEMA like 2 years ago that they had this display and it was for this new IRS that would essentially use the S550 rear end and all of its components. And I'm like, ooh, okay. So I started doing more and more research and I figured that might be the solution to my problem. Ended up calling up Ridetech and I was like, hey, I'm doing cool stuff and you guys are doing cool stuff. You wanna do cool stuff together? And they were like, yeah, sure. As I started to build out the car and figure out what was gonna work, there was a lot of people that I had to talk to. I talked to Ridetech, I talked to Maximum Motorsports, all sorts of people. We're gonna kind of go through some of these parts in detail because I haven't actually seen anybody online do it yet. So I just figured maybe somebody will get something out of it. And if you have questions along the way, I'm sure that by the time you watch this video, I will have had more information now. So just message, leave a comment, and I will do my best to answer whatever I can. First, the thing in front of me is the lower control arms. As you can tell, they're beefy, huge, okay? I think that this is they're essentially what an S550, they're replicating S550, but they are not directly from an S550, so it's not like you can just get one and then put it into this kit. These are specially made to work with the cradle. The way that they come, they have it labeled as driver and passenger, which is really cool and neat. So up next, we have these front hub spindles. So these are designed to accept the S550 rear hubs, which they also provide. Actually, I don't know if I ended up paying for these or if this comes in the original kit, so just make sure to check on it. Came with these two hubs. Let's open them up. It's also to note, I have zero experience with the Fox body or an S550. So all of this is brand new to me to begin with. These are pretty beefy. The Moog ones, I guess the rear. Only thing that I'm gonna end up doing this on here is I'm probably gonna end up changing these out to the ARP extended studs because I run extended studs on all the other cars I have, which is the one. It's a 350Z, it just makes it easier for the nuts on wheels and stuff. So it comes with two of these guys. So these are the upper control arms. They have it labeled driver, passenger. One thing that they did have was pretty much their book of installation guide. It has 35 pages. It goes into depth in regards to each of the call outs. One thing I really like is it actually tells you exactly the size of each bolt and then the item number. So they're all labeled. Let me go get those. All the bolts that you need and they're all labeled. They're all properly packaged. Pretty much they have all the numbers on them and then they coincide with your hardware kit, which is really cool. They really do go in depth and try their best to best prepare you for this install. You have beautiful diagrams on each of these sections. So from the cradle to the plates that have to go in for them to the lower upper control arm, all of that stuff. I might need to make some room. One of the other key factors that we have to take in consideration, and they give you the option, is for brakes. Ridetech, if that is incorrect, and you can run Fox RE. When you are ordering the kit, you have the option between using SN95 or the S550 brakes. And so you're picking between those two caliper bracket choices. I ended up going the S550 because I am also gonna go to the front SLA, which utilizes actually both SN95 or S550. And I just figured, I don't know, like I feel the S550 might be easier to find than maybe the SN95. I know that there is some production that has been stopped on some of the SN95 stuff. I just figured I'd go S550 and it should be fine. These are the S550 caliper brackets, and it comes with all the hardware. If you're running drum brakes, you will have to get the plumbing and the bracketry for a disc setup, which then you would pick between the SN95 or the S550. Next up, we got the axles. Aurora. These are technically shortened S550 axles, so it's not like you can't technically use just S550, you know, OEM ones. These are a little bit shorter. I don't know what the stock ones are. They have the option of being able to either add it to your kit or you could just go and source them on your own. But honestly, for the ease of things, I just added it to the kit. Next up, so in this kit, you also have to run a sway bar. This is a custom S550 sway bar. So again, it's not a part that you can just get off the shelf. It is something that is custom for them. There are 3 options when it comes to this when you are running it, and just depending on how stiff you want it. So this first option is going to be a 400 pound per inch. I guess that's the rate. The second one is 500, and then the third one will be the stiffest. The rest of this hardware came in a box called toe adjustment, and it is pretty much tie rod ends, locking and retaining kit for the springs, also the most amount of washers you will ever need in your entire life, and then all just the supporting hardware for it. It is all labeled. If you follow that little packet that they give you, you'll be able to know exactly where everything goes. So up next, we have our coilovers. Of course, these are specifically made for this S550 IRS. So you cannot just get these just all willy-nilly. These are actually for the size, and the lengths for the reservoirs and everything are already pre-cut for this IRS. I decided to go with these because I needed more adjustability on track. They have the TQs and the HQs. The HQs, I believe is HQs, and those are more your street driven, maybe a little bit of fun canyons and things like that, but the TQ has more adjustability. That's what I needed for track. And then in terms of springs, these are the guys that it comes with. Hyperco, I'm not really familiar with them, but it says that they're a nice NASCAR competition partner. It does say that it is an 8 by 2.5 by 575. This will sit really nice on this thing. Great. All right, well, I will figure these out when it comes to that time. So I'm sure that within the massive amount of hardware that came in that toe adjustment box, make sure that these go on correctly and adjust these. But so now this is the Ridetech S550 IRS. It is quite beefy. It is a lot beefier than I would have expected for the Fox body. The construction of this seems like it's done very well. You're not getting this little podunk piece. This is very solid, so solid, I can't lift it by myself. So this is gonna be fun when we're putting it in the car. One thing to note is that using this kit, it does require that you have a shortened drive shaft. But one thing that they mentioned was that you do have to have pinion, flange, and U-joint adapter in order to be able to utilize that, because the differential that you use is the S550, which that one you can get, it's not specific to this kit. You can get any S550 differential. The other thing that's really nice is that the very last page of the instructions, it does note that with the adapter installed, you'll measure from center to center of the differential U-joint to the center of the U-joint on the slip yoke at the trans. It just kind of gives you a diagram as to what the best way to be able to measure that and to be able to get something complete. Since I still have not figured out exactly what trans I'm going to be running, I'm going to try to get to that as quick as possible so that I can get those measurements, get the correct drive shaft. The other thing that you have to make sure that you figure out is your exhaust. It will not fit your stock 79 to 93 exhaust. So you will have to either have one custom made or the 99 to 04 COBRA exhaust system. If you are not going to run that system, or for whatever reason, I would highly suggest then you would end up having to run something custom, but 99 to 04 exhaust system if you don't want to do anything custom. So the other thing to note is they give you some information in regards to wheel sizes. It's probably wheel sizes that they have already test fitted on a product car. I have to read this off their manual because I can't remember this, but if you're going to run an 18 by 9 plus 20 millimeter offset wheel, you can run a 255/35/18 tire with no modifications required, so it's an easy fit. If you're running an 18 by 9.5 with a 25 millimeter offset, then you can run a 275/35/18, but you just have to roll your fenders. If you want to run an 18 by 10, which is something I would try to push, with a 25 millimeter offset, you can run a 275/35/18, which is most likely going to be the tire size I run. We're not going to worry about that until we do. Box body will most likely be wide body to some extent anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. It's race car stuff. Also, one thing I will note, and this is before I even decided to work with Ridetech, this was actually one of the reasons why I went went with Ridetech as opposed to other things that are on the market. When I was starting to do all this research and trying to figure this out, there weren't a whole lot of people online that's done this yet. I called and talked to a lot of the technicians that they have there, some of their engineers. They were super helpful, and they have a shop vehicle, a shop Fox body that they've ran in autocross and I think some road courses like Road America. So they had a little bit of experience and they were able to kind of walk me through and talk me through a lot of things. So the next time you guys see this kit, I will be installing it in the Fox body. Again, I don't know exactly how it's gonna go because I do have the mini tub, so I don't know if there's gonna be extra modifications that I need to make to it as opposed to a stock Fox body, but we're about to find out. I think that is it for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you just need any guidance in any regard, I am probably not the person to help, but I'm no, just kidding. I will try to help and answer any questions that I possibly can. But make sure you do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, and if you haven't already followed me on Instagram, go ahead and do that. I post content every single day there. But the next time you see this cradle, it will be going into the Fox body. So I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, bye.